I, when this idea, when this first came up, I was actually angry. This is not what I intended to be doing right now. I intended to be having the meetings around the county and saying, what are our options? Where are we at? But one of the things that we always find is when you actually get in office and you get the details of where things are at, it's never the same picture of what you think it is when you're campaigning. I had no intention of doing this, and so I had to ask why now, why not some other time? So we look at it. We have the $4 million in reserves. We're a $3.7 million shortage. We can get through one more fiscal year, but not enough to get to the November 2018 when the next taxes would be collected, which is if we waited till November or May next year when those taxes would be collected. So that puts us past what we have money to get to, which would mean we'd have to close the facility, lay off people, which the cost of getting them back if we haven't lost them from somewhere else is greater than, okay, that's not. So let's look at September. There's a special election opportunity September 2017, which would allow the taxes to be collected this November, which would be able to be put in at the end of the fiscal year, so we'd be able to continue our services. That election would cost $60,000 for us to have a countywide election, and it requires a double majority. So over 50% of the people would have to turn out, which historically has never happened, and then they'd have to vote. Well, the reality is that we're running out of money, so we have to put it out there of what's going on. So that's why we're looking at May. I can't justify spending $60,000 for an election for one item. It does not make sense fiscally when that's half a deputy to me. So the other piece of it is whenever anybody says padding pockets, impossible. State law requires that the money be spent on whatever that levy says. And so we're being very specific about what is listed there, including all the support services that help the sheriff, whether it be fleet, building ops, legal, HR, finance, whatever they be. Every single thing will be listed, but it's not increasing their budgets to those departments. Those department budgets are set separately. It's just a matter of it will support the sheriff's office. So the fund, it's not going to be increasing those budgets. It is what it is on those. It's going to the jail only and juvenile. So why the numbers? I specifically asked the sheriff before he did his presentation to us on what his ask was. I said, have a goal in mind. You have to defend the goal. And the sheriff is who came up with 185 beds, is what he believed would be enough to do intake on every person arrested in Josephine County. Currently, if you get arrested in the county by the state police or the sheriff's office, it's still likely you're going to get a ticket to go appear in court and not go to the jail at all. Or you'll get to the jail and immediately be processed out with a release to go to court. That's one of the things I've heard over and over again as a negative in our community, is that people are not held pre-trial or to get to their hearing. So this would allow that. So it wasn't a random number. It was a specific goal in mind of something to achieve and accomplish to provide safety in the community. And then the remainder balance that the commissioners added is to now allow the juvenile detention, the juvenile jail portion. It's not going to the shelter side. It's not going to the probation side, just the detention, so those kids can be held and then hopefully get the services they need so they don't continue into the adult system. But that's not enough because the need is still there. So we also have started the process to dedicate our forest trust lands to the juvenile justice system, so it will cover the shelter so the kids can be safe, and the support of the probation to support that. So that's going to be funded. So that's now something that doesn't have to be funded out of that public safety fund. So those monies that are currently going to the jail can be used for patrol. So there's going to be an increase of safety in the community, which we've asked for, but without putting the burden to pay for that patrol on the whole county. So in hearing the things that we've been told to take in mind, we've tried to do that. We're a specific goal in mind. Our reserve, to use it, we run out of money and not be able to fund past that. We're at the deadline. We have no more revenue sources, but we are trying to dedicate non-tax-based revenues to support part of the program so it's not on the taxpayers. And finally, the last portion, as far as sabotaging other levies. You know, it is it is a challenge to know what to do, but we're down to, it's not responsible for us to not put it to the voters and give them a chance to say what's going on and have a say in, do we close the jail? For us to do that without getting the feedback of the community would be irresponsible. And I have to say, all the testimony of the libraries this morning reminded me of how much time I spent in our library as a kid, at Lincoln Elementary's library, at North Middle School when I broke my leg and I couldn't do PE, and I was in the library the whole time driving them crazy. It had a significant impact on me. I think my most impressive library system is the University of Washington, where the School of Sociology gets their own building for a library. I mean, that's incredible to me. They got 22 buildings dedicated to the University of Washington library system, or at least they did 20 years ago when I was in college. I know that the way that we do this is not just on raising a tax, but we also are trying to build on our economy. But all these things work together. The library for our kids, one of the things that we're struggling with bringing jobs in is we don't have a workforce. In order to get the workforce, we have to continue to invest in our kids so that they want to stay in this community and have something to offer so that we can recruit a job to provide that balance for this community. Everybody says about moving somewhere else or the statements about that. Well, all three of us were born and raised here. We've all committed to our community. We care about what it looks like. I kind of have to laugh. I have my tea bags hanging out of my coffee mug here. And I used to go to Dutch Bros and buy the Harney and Sons tea that I like so much. And I can't afford that. So now I buy online the bags en masse so that I can do it. And I had to make some budget choices so I can get my caffeine fix in a non-coffee form. I took a pay cut to take this job. It has caused me in my personal budget to have to adjust what I'm doing as a single person trying to make ends meet. I know there's going to be an impact of these taxes on my budget further, and it's not something that I really have an answer for where I'll find the money difference. I do think, though, I can't afford not to put the choice to the voters, because otherwise, what are we supporting in our community? The sheriff has said this is now a morality question. Well, and I have to say I agree. We have to provide a place that is safe. We have to provide a place that is thriving, that has a future, and it involves all of these items. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. For those of you who wondered why not just this or that? Well, we're in a jam.
Commissioner DeYoung.
One of the things that